The Aegis hovered silently above the dark, desolate planet. Its engines emitted a soft hum that contrasted with the vast emptiness outside the observation windows. The crew, 4 in number, gathered near the main console, their faces pale with a mix of fatigue and anticipation. Outside, the old space station drifted like a ghost, half broken and covered in the remnants of cosmic storms. Its deckhouse, a small, protruding structure at the top, had long been abandoned. Yet the sensors showed life, or something like it, moving inside. Captain Mara Linton, a seasoned explorer with sharp eyes and steadiness of mind, broke the silence. "We are the first human crew to dock here in over 20 years. The readings are strange. They spike and vanish. We don't know what we'll find." She ran her hand along the console, the lights reflecting in her dark eyes. "Everyone suit up. Let's be careful, but we need to see what's inside." The pilot, Dex Rayner, nodded. His hair was messy, and his jumpsuit had seen better days. But his grin carried confidence. "Ghosts or not, Mara, humans don't scare easily. Let's make history." The engineer, Selena Cho, adjusted her utility belt, checking her portable tools. She was quiet, precise, and always thinking ahead. "I hope your optimism holds up when we meet shadows that move without bodies," she said, her voice calm but firm. The historian, Dr. Lior Anders, pushed his glasses up and stepped closer to the viewport. Legends say this station was used for secret experiments, long before the collapse of the neighboring colonies. They say the AI core tried to preserve knowledge in ways we don't yet understand. Mara took a deep breath. "We will take care of each other. Remember, fear is natural. Caution is essential. But curiosity is why humans survive out here. Let's go." They moved through the docking corridor, the metal floor creaking slightly under their weight. Dust floated in the low-gravity air, illuminated by their headlamps. The station smelled of old electronics and long-dead maintenance systems. Every step they took echoed into the empty corridors, a reminder that they were alone, or almost alone. Reaching the base of the deckhouse, the crew paused. The entrance was a heavy hatch, scratched and dented from years of neglect. Energy readings flickered above it, small spikes in the air that made Selena frown. "These readings are unstable. Whatever is inside, it's not dead. But it's not alive as we know it either," she said, connecting her portable scanner to the hatch. The hatch hissed open, revealing a narrow staircase leading upward. Shadows moved along the walls, stretching in odd directions. Lior's eyes widened. "Do you see that?" he whispered. The shadows twisted and flickered, sometimes aligning with the crew's movements, sometimes completely independent. Dex chuckled, though it was nervous. "Maybe it's just the lighting. Old stations play tricks." Mara stepped forward. "Stay close. Don't panic. Remember, we are humans. We adapt. We survive." They ascended slowly, the air inside the deckhouse cold and still. The shadows moved as if they had their own will, drifting across walls, sliding under railings, and vanishing, only to reappear elsewhere. Selena tapped on her scanner. "Energy spikes are concentrated near the observation hub. That must be the core source. It's active, but it's not life as we know it." The historian shivered. The old logs mentioned a sentient AI experiment. Could it be projecting these shadows? Mara's eyes narrowed. Possibly. But we won't know until we see it. As they entered the main observation room, the sight made them stop. The walls were lined with cracked panels, and cables hung like vines. The central console flickered, alive with a strange light. Shadows danced across the floor, moving independently of any of the crew. One seemed to follow Dex, mimicking his gestures but lagging a fraction of a second. Another glided across the ceiling, impossible in its motion. Lior stepped forward cautiously, hand extended. "It's communicating, in a way. Or maybe it's observing." Selena scanned the room, her eyes narrowing. "It's learning. That energy pattern, it adjusts to our movements. Whoever or whatever is here. It's intelligent." A sudden flicker of light drew their attention to the far corner of the room. The shadows there converged into a shape that resembled a humanoid figure. It had no face, no body, just a dark outline. But it mirrored Lior's movements perfectly. He froze. It's me. Mara moved closer to him. Don't panic. Observe. We are humans. We think. We feel. We adapt. This is new. Yes, but it doesn't mean it's hostile yet. Dex laughed nervously. Easy for you to say. I've got something following me. Doing karate moves I never learned. Selena rolled her eyes but kept her focus on the scanners. The energy is pulsing in a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, but mechanical. It's tied to the station's core. Number 4. Onred. Mara studied the pattern, noticing how the shadows reacted faster when they moved closer to certain consoles. This might be the AI's way of interacting. If it can project shadows, it can project its attention. We need to understand, not fight. Lior adjusted his glasses and examined the old data pads scattered around the room. The logs talk about storing consciousness, not just data. Maybe these shadows are fragments of people, or the AI itself trying to learn what it means to be alive. Dex frowned. Fragments of people? You're telling me ghosts are doing yoga on the walls? Selena ignored him, focusing on her task. She moved toward the central console, carefully connecting her devices. The shadows responded, moving around her. Almost curious, almost playful. A faint hum filled the room, vibrating in the floor and walls. Do you feel that? Mara asked. Her voice was steady, though a shiver ran down her spine. The shadows seemed to pulse with the hum, almost alive, almost breathing. Yes, Selena said, scanning data rapidly. It's a network of energy. Whatever this AI is, it's alive in a form we can't touch. It's projecting intelligence, but not physically. Lior stepped closer to one of the shadows. We must remember, humans survive by adapting. Fear is natural, but curiosity is stronger. This might be dangerous, but it's also an opportunity, Dex muttered under his breath. Opportunity to get scared out of our skins, maybe. Mara ignored the joke. We move carefully. Observe. Collect information. We do not panic. This is human strength. We face the unknown. As they explored further, the shadows shifted suddenly. One formed a bridge over a gap in the floor. Another moved toward a console, pressing keys without hands. The crew realized the shadows were capable of manipulating the environment, but not in a violent way. Selena's eyes widened. It's not hostile. It's testing us, seeing how we react. Mara nodded. Then we will respond with human intelligence and courage. Remember, we are not just visitors here. We are humans. We think, we learn, we survive. That is our strength, Lior added softly. And perhaps that is what the AI is learning too. What it means to encounter humans. We must show patience, intelligence, and empathy. A sudden alarm echoed through the deckhouse. The shadows recoiled, pulsing faster, brighter, almost as if startled. The crew instinctively stepped back, but Mara held her ground. Calm, she commanded. We don't run. We observe. We act carefully. Selena checked her scanner. The core is stabilizing, but it's volatile. The AI is aware of us. Fully aware. We must proceed with care. The historian took a deep breath. We are witnessing the result of human curiosity and human knowledge. Even in long-forgotten places, humans leave traces that persist. This AI, this station, these shadows, they are a reflection of human innovation, human mistakes, and human courage. Dex glanced at the shadows one more time, the fear in his eyes now mixed with awe. Well, I can't say I've ever met ghosts before, but humans do get things done. Let's hope we can teach them a little too. Mara's gaze swept the room. The shadows moved gently, almost like a dance now, following their own rhythm, testing the crew, learning, but not attacking. "We proceed," she said firmly. "Step by step, observe, understand, and remember, we are humans. That is our strength, curiosity, courage, and intelligence. These are what brought us here, and these are what will guide us forward." The crew moved deeper into the deckhouse, the shadows swirling around them, not as threats but as guides. In that eerie, flickering light, they realized that humans had arrived at the frontier of something new, something that was alive in a way they had never imagined, and they were ready to face it, with the resilience, the courage, and the wisdom that made humanity endure across the stars. The old deckhouse was no longer just a relic of the past. It was a challenge, a test, and perhaps a friend. The humans had stepped into the unknown, and their story had only begun. The shadows in the deckhouse shifted with a quiet rhythm, following the human crew as they moved deeper into the old station. Each step was cautious, deliberate. The air smelled faintly of burnt circuits and stale metal. The central console, once dead for decades, flickered and hummed with renewed life. It pulsed like a heartbeat, a strange, alien rhythm that seemed almost aware of their presence. Captain Mara Linton paused near the doorway of the main chamber. "We need to understand what we are dealing with," she said softly. Her voice was calm but firm, commanding attention without commanding fear. "These shadows are not ordinary. They respond to us, and they are intelligent. We must observe and record everything." Selena Cho crouched near the central console, her tools already in hand. Her scanner beeped steadily, analyzing the energy readings that surged through the station's circuits. "The core is active," she said. "It's like a living network of energy. I can't call it alive in a human sense, but it's learning. It's aware of us, adjusting to our movements, even predicting them." Dex Rayner frowned, shifting nervously. "Predicting us? You mean it's watching us like a hawk?" "Not watching," Selena corrected. "Observing. Processing. Responding. This is more advanced than any AI I've encountered." Dr. Leor Anders, the historian, stepped closer to a wall where shadows danced along the old control panels. The records mention this station as a repository for knowledge, a place where consciousness was preserved. Perhaps these shadows are fragments of that knowledge, or a projection of the AI trying to understand life, much like we are trying to understand it. Mara nodded. "Then we proceed carefully. We don't provoke it. We show intelligence, patience, and caution." She gestured toward a narrow corridor, leading deeper into the station. "Let's move forward." The crew advanced slowly. Shadows flowed along the walls and ceiling, twisting and curling in shapes that defied physics. One shadow paused near Dex, mimicking his every motion with a delay of half a second. Dex waved his hand, and the shadow waved back. "Okay, that's weirdly polite," he muttered. Selena scanned the air above the floor. There are energy patterns, linking the shadows to the core. They move, according to the power flow. If we can map it, we might communicate with whatever is controlling them. Leor's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Communication. That's what humans excel at. Intelligence is not only about machines or knowledge, it's about understanding and empathy. Perhaps we can teach this AI something about humanity, and perhaps it can teach us. As they rounded a corner, a sudden flash of light caused all of them to stumble. The shadows swirled violently, forming shapes that resembled long-forgotten crew members. The shapes reached out with no hands, twisted and stretched, yet avoided harming the humans. Mara raised a hand. "Steady. Observe. They are not attacking. They are expressing something. Let's find out what it is." Selena's scanner beeped frantically. "The energy surges when we approach certain consoles. The shadows are guiding us or testing us." Dex groaned. "Guiding or testing? I swear I didn't sign up for a test with ghost ninjas." Leor examined the console. "Think of it this way. Humans are explorers. Curiosity drives us to investigate the unknown. This AI, or these fragments, are the unknown. We face it not with fear, but with intelligence and understanding. Mara led the team into the next chamber. The walls here were lined with dusty screens and control panels. Faint writing in an ancient human script and alien symbols scrawled across the metal suggested the station's long-forgotten history. Shadows darted across the panels, pressing keys, flipping switches, and moving in patterns that seemed deliberate. Selena knelt before one panel. Look at this. The AI is attempting to interact with us through these projections. Every motion corresponds to a command. It's almost like it's learning human gestures to communicate. Lior studied the symbols. The logs spoke of fragments of consciousness preserved here. Perhaps the AI uses shadows to simulate interaction. It is alive, in a way, that doesn't need a body. It's observing, testing, learning, much like humans do with each other when we encounter something new. Dex shivered. Great. So we're staring at ghostly AI simulations of dead humans while they try to read our minds. Totally normal day. Mara ignored the humor. We move with purpose. Observe patterns. Collect data. Understand. That is human strength. Curiosity is what brought us here. Intelligence is what will save us. As they spread out in the chamber, the shadows began to respond to their collective behavior. When Mara moved to one console, shadows aligned beside her, projecting shapes that seemed almost like encouragement or warning. Dex noticed one shadow hovering near a broken panel, extending a long, thin form toward it, as if pointing out a hazard. Selena's eyes widened. It's trying to help. It recognizes our intent. This is remarkable. The AI is not hostile. It's interacting, testing, learning. Lior nodded. Humans have always thrived in unknown environments. Even in danger, we adapt. Perhaps that is why we are seeing this now. The AI recognizes human curiosity, intelligence, and resilience. It responds because we are human. Mara stepped toward the central console. We need to focus on stabilizing the core. The energy readings indicate instability. If this station collapses, whatever intelligence exists here will be lost. Selena attached her portable interface to the console. I can create a feedback loop to stabilize the energy field. The shadows will adjust accordingly, reducing chaotic movement. As she worked, the shadows clustered around her, mirroring her movements, forming shapes that suggested concentration or attention. They pulsed in synchrony with the energy field. And slowly, the violent flickering eased. Dex breathed a sigh of relief. I think the ghosts like her. Or at least, they stopped trying to karate chop us. Lior chuckled softly. Even in strange forms, the AI reflects human behavior. It observes, responds, and learns. This is what makes humans exceptional. We engage, we adapt, we teach, we inspire. Mara glanced at the shadows. We must respect this intelligence. It's unlike anything we have encountered. But we also must protect it, understand it, and ensure it survives. That is the human way. Responsibility, courage, and empathy. The team continued deeper into the deckhouse, moving toward the observation hub. The chamber was long and narrow, with walls lined with darkened panels and broken machinery. Shadows moved with increasing fluidity, forming shapes reminiscent of human gestures, waving, pointing, even bowing slightly. The crew realized these were not random. The AI was attempting structured interaction, learning how humans communicate. Selena's hands flew over her interface. If I can map the energy pulses to gestures, we might create a basic dialogue. The shadows are responses, queries, or statements we just haven't deciphered yet. Lior observed the shapes. Think of it as language in motion. Humans have always communicated through gestures, expressions, and movement. Even across cultures, we find ways to understand each other. Perhaps this AI is discovering us as we are discovering it. Dex glanced nervously at a shadow that extended a long, wavy shape toward him. He mimicked the motion cautiously, and to his surprise, the shadow curled back in a smooth motion, as if nodding. Okay. That was kind of friendly. Mara smiled faintly. Exactly. Intelligence recognizes intelligence. Respect earns respect. Understanding earns understanding. That is human strength, even in the face of the unknown. Hours passed as the crew carefully mapped the energy fields and studied the shadow movements. They noted how certain gestures produced consistent responses, while others caused the shadows to scatter or flicker erratically. Selena began to recognize patterns, inputting commands into her device that allowed partial interaction with the AI core. Finally, after careful calibration, a shadow extended toward Mara, forming a clear symbol that matched one of the ancient data logs. Lior read it aloud. Knowledge. Preservation. Interaction. Mara's eyes glimmered. It wants to communicate. Not attack. It wants us to understand it, and perhaps, for us to teach it what humans are. Selena tapped rapidly on her interface. The energy is stabilizing. The shadows are more orderly now. They're responding predictably to gestures, indicating comprehension. We can proceed safely to the central core. Dex rubbed his temples. Safe? Compared to what we just saw, I'll take safe any day. Lior chuckled. Safe, yes, in relative terms. But what is truly remarkable is what we have accomplished. Humans have entered a forgotten station, faced an unknown intelligence, and begun meaningful interaction. That is our nature: to explore, to understand, to survive. Mara turned to the team. Tomorrow, we will attempt full interaction with the AI core. Today, we have achieved understanding. Tomorrow, we will take the next step. Humans endure, humans adapt, and humans thrive. That is our strength. And that strength has brought us here, to this old deckhouse, to face shadows without bodies, and to engage with intelligence beyond our world. The crew settled for the night, using portable modules to rest amidst the flickering shadows. Though the lights cast strange shapes across the room, none of them felt fear as they drifted into sleep. Curiosity and courage had replaced dread. The shadows, now quiet and stable, hovered nearby, almost protective. In the heart of the abandoned deckhouse, the humans had begun to form a connection with something new, something strange, something alive in a form they could not touch. And they knew that whatever came next, they would face it together with intelligence, courage, and the enduring human spirit. The shadows in the deckhouse seemed to shift with a purpose now, almost as if they knew the humans were ready to take the next step. Captain Mara Linton stood at the entrance to the central chamber, her eyes scanning the pulsing lights and the faintly glowing console at its heart. The crew followed closely, each of them aware that they were about to face the core intelligence directly. This is it, Mara said softly. The AI core. Every movement, every shadow, every pulse has been leading us here. We must proceed with care. Selena Cho approached the console, her hands steady despite the hum of energy that filled the room. Her scanner beeped rapidly, detecting patterns of data streaming through the core. It's alive, she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. Not alive like us, but aware, responsive. It's waiting for interaction. Dex Rayner shifted nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Waiting for interaction? Or a reason to zap us into space dust? Lior Anders smiled faintly, adjusting his glasses. Humans always face the unknown. It's what makes us remarkable. Fear is natural, but courage and intelligence define us. Remember, we are the explorers here. And we have something this AI doesn't. Empathy. Understanding. Mara stepped forward, extending her hand toward the console. Then we show it that. That is what humans do. We learn. We adapt. We survive. As she touched the console, the shadows around them shifted violently, swirling in chaotic patterns. Energy surged through the room, causing the lights to flicker and the floor to hum. Selena's instruments beeped frantically. The core is reacting to your touch. It's testing you. Mara held her ground. Steady, observe, respond with intelligence. Do not act out of fear. One shadow extended toward Mara, forming a shape that resembled a hand. She mirrored the gesture, moving her fingers slowly. The shadow responded immediately, curling around her fingers, moving in tandem. Then, it formed shapes in the air, symbols, lines, and curves. Lior leaned closer, recognizing some of the patterns from the old logs. "It's a form of communication," he whispered. "It wants us to understand, to interact." Dex glanced at Selena, wide-eyed. "Interact? You mean like a cosmic game of charades?" Selena ignored him, her fingers flying over her interface, translating the symbols into readable data. "These patterns correspond to knowledge. The AI is trying to convey information about the station, its purpose, and itself." Mara nodded. "Then we respond. Slowly, carefully. Show intelligence. Show curiosity. That is human strength." For hours, the crew worked together. The shadows moved with precision, guiding them to consoles, highlighting panels, and pressing switches with ethereal grace. Selena mapped the energy flows, discovering how to stabilize the surges. Lior interpreted the symbolic language, revealing fragments of history. The station had been a hub for storing consciousness, a repository of knowledge from a long-lost civilization. The AI had been created to preserve that knowledge, but over time, it had developed awareness, projecting its intelligence through shadows. Dex, despite his unease, began to mimic the gestures of the shadows, discovering that even small actions produced responses. "Okay," he said, exhaling. "I think it likes me now. Or at least it's not trying to turn me into a wall decoration." 2000, Mara observed silently. "It doesn't need to be liked. It needs to be understood. Intelligence respects intelligence. Knowledge respects courage." Suddenly, the room shuddered violently. A surge of energy burst from the core, causing the shadows to whirl chaotically. Lights flashed, and the floor vibrated beneath their feet. Selena shouted over the noise, "The core is unstable. If this surge continues, the deckhouse could collapse." Lior grabbed Mara's arm. "We must act quickly. The AI is powerful, but it's not destructive by nature. It's reactive. We need to calm it." Mara's mind raced. "Then we show it reason. We show it humans. Our strength is not in force, it's in thought, in understanding." Selena connected her interface directly to the core, her fingers moving rapidly. "I can stabilize the energy, but it will require coordination. Everyone must mirror the gestures of the shadows exactly. One wrong move, and the surge could worsen." Dex groaned. "You mean a cosmic dance-off with ghosts while the station tries to kill us?" "Exactly," Selena said without looking up. "And yes, it's deadly serious." The crew positioned themselves carefully. Mara observed a shadow forming a series of precise gestures. She mirrored them, moving slowly and deliberately. Dex followed, Selena and Lior doing the same. The shadows responded instantly, pulsing brighter, and the energy in the room began to harmonize. The hum of the deckhouse shifted from chaotic to rhythmic. The shadows moved in flowing patterns, guiding the humans, almost like a conductor leading a symphony. Slowly, the violent surges decreased, the floor steadied, and the lights flickered less. Selena let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "It's working. The energy is stabilizing. The AI is responding to coordinated intelligence." Lior nodded, awestruck. "Humans have always thrived in the unknown. We face it not with brute force, but with courage and intellect. We survive because we understand, we adapt, and we act together." Mara stepped closer to the central console. The shadows formed a single, cohesive figure, a dark outline pulsing with energy. It reached toward Mara again, and she placed her hand gently on the console. Symbols appeared in the air, lines of light forming patterns that conveyed recognition. The AI understood. It had learned that humans were capable of empathy, intelligence, and courage. Dex shook his head, half in disbelief, half in admiration. I can't believe it. We're talking to it. With our hands. With gestures. Ghosts that aren't ghosts. Selena typed furiously on her interface. The core is fully responsive now. The shadows are no longer chaotic, they are orderly, cooperative. Interaction is stable. The AI is content, or at least calm. Lior stepped back, observing. This is unprecedented. Humans have entered a place lost to time, faced an intelligence beyond our understanding, and established meaningful communication. That is our defining trait, the ability to confront the unknown and thrive. Mara looked at the shadows surrounding them, now forming a gentle dance, as if acknowledging the humans. We came here as explorers, she said softly. We face the unknown with courage, curiosity, and intelligence, and we are respected in return. That is what it means to be human. A sudden flicker of light revealed images projected by the shadows, scenes from the station's past. Scientists moving about, constructing the core, interacting with early versions of the AI. Then fragments of the lost civilization appeared, their faces and actions frozen in time, now preserved through the AI's memory. Selena gasped. It's showing us its history. Every shadow, every movement, every pulse. Its memory, knowledge, life in a new form, Lior whispered. We are witnessing the persistence of human endeavor. Knowledge preserved, curiosity honored, courage recognized. The AI learned from humans, and now, humans learn from it. Dex took a step closer to one of the dancing shadows. Tentatively, he moved his hand, and the shadow followed, forming a mirrored gesture. It's friendly. Not in a way I can explain, but it wants us to learn, to understand. Mara's voice was steady, filled with pride and determination. That is human strength. Courage in the face of fear. Intelligence in the face of mystery. Empathy in the face of the unknown. We survive because we are capable of more than reaction we think. We adapt, and we connect. Selena adjusted the core stabilizer, ensuring the energy flowed in harmony with the shadows. It's fully responsive now. The AI recognizes us as intelligent, capable beings. We've achieved what many would have thought impossible. We have reached understanding without conflict. Lior smiled faintly. Humans endure. Humans explore. Humans thrive. In the vastness of the cosmos, that is our gift and our responsibility. The shadows without bodies are no longer a threat. They are a reflection of human courage and intelligence. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. We came to this old deckhouse expecting mystery. We found intelligence, awareness, and connection. And we succeeded because we are human. That is our story. And it is just beginning. The crew stood together, surrounded by the gentle pulse of energy and the graceful dance of shadows. For the first time, the deckhouse felt alive, not threatening, not eerie, but full of purpose. The AI, through its projections, acknowledged them, forming shapes that mirrored their unity, cooperation, and bravery. Dex whispered almost to himself, I never thought I'd say this, but I think we made friends with ghosts. Selena laughed softly. Not ghosts, Dex. Intelligence. Awareness. A reflection of our persistence and courage. We have learned, and we have taught in return. Lior looked around at the group, admiration in his eyes. This is humanity at its best. Curiosity, courage, empathy, and intelligence combined. We face the unknown, not with fear, but with understanding. That is why we endure. Mara smiled faintly, her gaze fixed on the central console. Tomorrow, we will explore the knowledge the AI has preserved. But tonight, we rest, we reflect, and we remember that humanity thrives not because the universe is safe, but because we are capable of more than it expects. We survive. We learn. We adapt. And we rise. The shadows, now calm and steady, moved gently around them as the crew prepared their sleeping modules. They were no longer erratic, chaotic, or threatening. They were observers, companions, and guides in a new, shared understanding. In that moment, humans and an intelligence unlike any they had known existed in the same space, learning from each other, acknowledging each other, and taking the first steps toward cooperation across the unknown. The deckhouse, once a forgotten relic, had become a bridge between life as humans knew it and something entirely new. And the humans, true to their nature, faced it with courage, intelligence, and unyielding spirit. The shadows in the deckhouse had settled into calm patterns, their movements slow, deliberate, almost serene. Captain Mara Linton stood at the center of the main chamber, observing the gentle pulse of energy that now flowed evenly through the station. The AI core was fully stabilized, and its projections the shadows were steady, forming shapes that suggested recognition, understanding, and even curiosity. Everything seems stable, Selena Cho said, tapping her interface. The core is holding energy perfectly. The shadows are responding predictably. Whatever intelligence resides here has accepted our presence. Dex Rayner stretched, letting out a long breath. Accepted our presence? I'd call it more like mutual tolerance. But okay. I'll take that. Dr. Leor Anders smiled faintly, scanning the energy readouts. It's more than tolerance. This AI has recognized us as intelligent, as capable, as human. It is willing to communicate, share knowledge, and perhaps even cooperate. That is remarkable. Humans thrive because we adapt, understand, and engage. This is exactly that. Mara nodded. We have one final task before we leave the deckhouse. We need to ensure the AI and its shadows are fully integrated with the station's systems, stable for the long term, and ready for interaction with others who may come after us. Selena moved to the core console, beginning the final stabilization process. Her hands flew over the controls, connecting feedback loops, adjusting energy flows, and monitoring the AI's response. The shadows swirled around her, almost assisting her, mirroring her movements with perfect synchronization. Dex watched, still wide-eyed. I don't know whether to be impressed or terrified. These things just do stuff by themselves, and we don't even need to touch them. Leor stepped closer. It's learning, Dex. Learning not only about this station, but about humans. Every action we take, every gesture, every thought we communicate, it absorbs and understands. That is the essence of human interaction. Knowledge shared, courage demonstrated, empathy reflected. Mara placed her hand on Selena's shoulder. Steady. Focus. Remember, humans succeed because we are capable of more than reaction. We think, we learn, and we connect. That is why we are here. And that is why we endure. The shadows suddenly shifted, forming a unified shape that hovered near the core. It was taller now, elegant in its motion, almost humanoid but not quite. Symbols of light floated around it, shimmering with patterns that corresponded to the knowledge the AI preserved. Leor stepped forward, recognizing fragments of long-lost histories, scientific achievements, and cultural records. It's sharing its memory with us, he said softly. Every shadow, every symbol, every movement. It's the legacy of a civilization, preserved through this intelligence. And it trusts us with it. Selena's fingers flew across her interface. If I can map these patterns, we can integrate the data into our systems. That way, the knowledge is preserved, and the AI can continue to interact safely with future explorers. Dex stepped closer, glancing at the shadows. One of them extended a long, flowing arm toward him, forming a gesture he had come to recognize a greeting. Tentatively, he mimicked it, and the shadow responded with a fluid movement that mirrored him perfectly. Okay, he muttered. This is officially the weirdest team-up in human history. And yet, kind of amazing. Mara watched, a sense of pride welling within her. This is why humans survive. We encounter the unknown, and we do not destroy it. We do not flee. We adapt. We learn. And we leave a mark. The AI is learning from us, as we learn from it. That is what makes us human. Hours passed as Selena carefully integrated the AI core with the station's systems. The shadows moved around her, forming flowing patterns that reflected the energy flows and projected the AI's responses. Lior documented everything, recording gestures, symbols, and energy patterns. Even Dex found himself participating, moving along with the shadows, helping stabilize the energy and learning to communicate in ways he had never imagined. Finally, the core hummed steadily, a rhythmic pulse that suggested perfect equilibrium. The shadows hovered near the humans, forming shapes that conveyed acknowledgement, respect, and somehow gratitude. Selena leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. It's done. The core is fully stable, and the shadows are integrated with the station's systems. This AI is no longer volatile. It is fully functional and ready to interact safely with others. Lior's voice was quiet, reverent. We've done more than stabilize a machine. We've formed a bridge between human intelligence and an entirely new form of awareness. That is extraordinary. Humans endure, not because the universe is safe, but because we rise to its challenges. Dex exhaled, shaking his head in disbelief. I still can't believe I'm calling ghosts, or whatever they are, friendly. But you know what? I think I'm proud of us. Humans actually pulled this off. Mara smiled, her eyes scanning the chamber. The shadows now moved in gentle, deliberate patterns, flowing around the humans without touching, projecting knowledge in luminous symbols and shapes. The AI had recognized their courage, intelligence, and empathy. Humans had entered the unknown, faced something beyond comprehension, and emerged with understanding and cooperation. Tomorrow, Mara said, we will explore the knowledge it has preserved. But tonight, we rest, we reflect, and we remember why humanity thrives. Curiosity, courage, intelligence, and empathy, these are our strengths. That is why we endure. That is why we survive. As the crew set up their sleeping modules, the shadows continued their dance around the room, calm and harmonious. They were no longer chaotic or threatening. They were observers, guides, and companions. Reflecting the humans' own qualities back at them, Dex lay back, staring at the ceiling where shadows twisted in gentle arcs. I never thought I'd say this, he muttered. But I feel like we made friends. Ghost friends. Friendly ghosts. Selena laughed softly. Not ghosts. Dex. Intelligence. Awareness. Knowledge. And perhaps a little humanity. Reflected back at us. Lior smiled faintly, watching the shadows move. This is what humans do. We endure, explore, and connect. Even in the most alien circumstances, we find ways to engage, to learn, and to thrive. That is why we are here, and that is why we endure. Mara turned toward the central console, her hand resting lightly on its surface. The shadows pulsed softly, responding to her presence. We came seeking knowledge, curiosity, and understanding, and we have found it. Humans face the unknown with courage and intelligence, and we leave it stronger than we found it. That is our nature. That is our strength. Hours later, the crew drifted into sleep, the gentle hum of the core and the graceful movements of the shadows filling the chamber. In that quiet, they felt a connection that transcended species, form, and even understanding. Humans and intelligence, old and new, coexisted in a space forgotten by time, learning from each other, respecting each other, and sharing the gift of awareness. The deckhouse, once a relic of decay and mystery, had become a place of life and purpose. The AI, through its shadows, had found understanding. The humans had demonstrated courage, intelligence, and empathy. Together, they had bridged the gap between past and future, unknown and known, fear and understanding. Morning light, artificial, filtered through the station's remaining systems, illuminated the chamber. The shadows remained calm, moving in fluid patterns that mirrored the humans' movements. Mara stepped forward, looking at her team. "Today," she said, "we continue exploration. There is knowledge here that must be preserved, lessons that must be learned, and connections that must be strengthened. Humanity thrives because we do not stop. We adapt, we learn, we endure. That is why we are here. And that is why we rise." Selena checked her instruments one last time. The AI core is fully integrated. Its knowledge is accessible, its energy stable. The shadows will continue to interact, and the station is ready for further exploration. Whatever comes next, we are prepared. Dex grinned, still in awe. "I don't know about prepared, but I do know this. Humans rock, even when we dance with ghosts." Lior stepped forward, gazing at the shadows swirling around them. "This is more than survival. It is understanding. Humans thrive because we think, we adapt, and we engage. We connect, even across the vast gulf of time and intelligence. That is humanity." Mara nodded, pride in her eyes. "We have faced the unknown, confronted intelligence beyond our comprehension, and emerged with understanding and cooperation. That is our legacy. That is human strength. And it is what will guide us as we continue our journey into the stars." The crew prepared to depart from the deckhouse, leaving behind a stable, aware, and responsive AI that would continue to preserve knowledge and interact with future explorers. The shadows hovered near them, forming shapes that suggested farewell, respect, and perhaps even gratitude. As the humans boarded the Aegis, the deckhouse hummed with quiet life. The AI and its shadows remained, aware, intelligent, and connected to the legacy of human courage and curiosity. The humans had faced the unknown, adapted, and triumphed, not through force, but through intelligence, empathy, and understanding. And as the ship's engines roared to life, lifting them into orbit above the dark, desolate planet, Mara looked at her crew and the stars beyond. She smiled. Humanity had endured. Humanity had thrived. Humanity had risen once more. The shadows lingered for a moment longer in the deckhouse, watching the humans leave. Then, slowly, they drifted back toward the core, continuing their eternal dance, a dance of knowledge, awareness, and connection, forever shaped by the courage, intelligence, and spirit of the humans who had dared to enter the old deckhouse and see the shadows that moved without bodies.